Chat, just if you could let me know if you could hear me just fine, that would be fantastic. We are going to be going live at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:35 p.m. Eastern. Lines are going to be open right away. 812-393-2600 is going to be the number. Anyone on the chat, just go ahead and let me know if you could hear me. Okay. Excellent. Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate that, Rick. We already have a caller on the line for when we get going. So I'm very excited about this. Hell of a win. Be back to get started in 4 minutes. How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs Postgame Live. Indiana 20-15 winners over the Michigan Wolverines to move to a historic 10-0 on the season. Indiana has never before been 10-0. They've never before won 10 games in a row, but they have now, and they did it by beating Michigan, a team that the Hoosiers beat in 2020, but that was the COVID year, and so that was a little bit different. Fans weren't allowed to enjoy that game. But you bet your ass they're enjoying it tonight. 20-15 is the victory for Indiana. 812-393-2600 is the number. And the fans are excited. Fans are excited. Everybody is excited about what they've seen. We already got one caller on the line, and we'll be getting to him in just a second. But we're going to go ahead and hand the microphone to our first live visitor of the evening. So give me your name, your where you're from, and what you got.
Hey Ken, this is Neil Hood, originally from Seymour, Indiana, now from Kansas City. My wife, Maggie Rayner, originally from Avon, Indiana, now from Kansas City. And yeah, that was not the decisive victory that I was wanting heading into Ohio State, but I'll say this, we played through adversity, and that's one of the nation's top defenses, right? So a lot to be said for having to finish the game the way we finished.
Well, and I feel like it could be a positive for them to have to go through a game like this because this is something they were tested in the first quarter against Michigan State and then ran off 47 unanswered. This one that goes down to the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, you got to make some plays. Michigan has played these kinds of games before. Indiana hadn't. So to me, this is going to make it so that they have this experience and it's something they could build off of.
The win, no doubt, locks us into the college football playoffs at this point. Um, we'll see how we finish the season at Ohio State, Purdue at home. Yeah, I think fans should feel confident in being one of those 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds. Are we hosting a first round game here? That would be incredible. A lot to be excited about. But certainly this shows us against adversity, still a lot of work that needs to get done in the next 2 weeks.
Miami already lost this week. Number 4, Georgia, I believe last I saw they were losing and they were down pretty good. So this is a moment where Indiana might be able to take a couple of extra steps up. It's exciting. It's exciting to say the least. This is 10-0 and a different way that the Hoosiers were able to win. I appreciate it. 812-393-2600 is your number. I'll do this right now for the people who are listening to the recording of the post game. I'll go ahead and drop in the press conference here. This is if you're listening to it after we go off the air. I'm able to drop it in, but I can't do it right now. But for the people who are listening on the recording, here's Curt Cignetti during his post game press conference. 812-393-2600 is the number. I'm going to get to the caller real quick. First, we got a couple callers on. Oh, that's fantastic. So let's go right here. Caller, if you could give me your name, where you're from, and what you got. Michigan fans one of the things that I offer as an observation is, this year is different. There's no question about it. And this is one of those games where I had confidence in Spaghetti and the team that we were not going to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, as we have seen so many times in previous years. One thing I also noticed too is I think our line got a little bit exposed on the offensive side, and I was just curious about what other people thought about that. I mean, I recognize we had a lineman go down during the week, and that obviously required the team to adjust. But look, we knocked off Michigan. A guy playing backup on the offensive line, losing a great defensive back, and we still found a way to win. And to me, that's absolutely amazing. And I'm thankful and looking forward to the next game. Well, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. And I got to tell you that, I know that we were having a little bit of a problem there hearing the caller initially. That's a problem on my end. Hopefully, we just are able to fix that. But this is an IU team. Their offensive line had to go through its first real adversity of the year. And with Drew Evans going out with the Achilles injury, they weren't great. But they did enough. And Michigan's defensive line is experienced, is talented, and the Hoosiers were able to get the job done. And so now, yeah, that's going to be something going forward that you're going to look at. But they have some extra time to work with being able to just build on what they're doing. Just so incredibly exciting for the Hoosiers. Thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it. 812-393-2600 is the number. And we let's go to the live mic here real quick, and give your name, where you're from, and what you got.
My name's Ryan. I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana, IU grad. And like the previous guy had mentioned, a gutty win, way to pull it out. I guess if I had one kind of question, the way we opened the second half, I was kind of curious about the play calling through the pick. Defense holds, which is kind of the theme of the whole second half. Defense holds. And then the start the second drive with like 3 good running plays, and it kind of had Michigan State vibes from last week of that 7-minute drive that kind of started icing the game away. And then they kind of went back to the air again. And then the Michigan pass rush, kind of ramped it up, and we didn't get many good looks. So I guess, I don't know, playing armchair quarterback, just kind of curious. It kind of felt like we finally had some momentum, maybe carrying the ball, pounding it on the ground a little bit. And I guess I'd be curious why they didn't stick with it at that point.
Yeah, it's a great question because this is the first game this year where I've really seen a long stretch where you kind of scratch your head about what are they doing offensively. The Rourke interception on the first possession of the second half, that was just a bad throw. There's no question he wants it back, and that was a bad decision. He didn't see something, and he hasn't done that, all year. So it was tough, but they were able to come back. I felt as well that they had been running the ball pretty well. The stats didn't necessarily play that out as the second half went on. But yeah, I thought that they went to the air a little bit too much. The other thing was they weren't necessarily working that play clock in the fourth quarter as deep as they went. They left some seconds on the play clock. I know they wanted to keep the rhythm, not do anything too different, not shake anything up, but it made me a little bit nervous later in the game in the last couple of minutes to where you snap a ball with 16 seconds on the play clock and there's 2:38 on the clock. Let's get rid of those 16 seconds. Let's put this thing away. So I completely agree. That was an odd one, a head scratcher, and that's something that unquestionably they'll be asked about on Monday for sure.
Yeah, and if they wanted to throw the ball, I guess maybe sticking with the quicker, shorter passes that would, before the Michigan pass rush had a chance to get in there, just maybe a quick bubble screen or even a screen pass. The slants, I think, worked a couple times, but I mean, just maybe quicker 3-step drops as opposed to the 5 steps.
Yeah, and we saw Keyshawn Williams catch on a little slant that he picked up a first down on the last drive, I believe it was, or maybe it was the drive where they kicked the field goal to kind of push it from 2 points to 5. But that was absolutely a situation where Indiana, some of those short passes that will take some of the steam out of that Michigan pass rush because they were kind of pinning their ears back and coming to them. And I thought as well that some screen passes and everything might have made a big difference.
Yeah, but it was nice to get a win against a team that doesn't happen against very often. So
absolutely,
good.
Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. 812-393-2600 is the number. We have from the chat someone asking a bit of a scare, but Keyshawn and the defense stood tall. Never dawning. That's Tuskers B. Yeah, I completely agree. That was just really fantastic. JM asks, Ken, where will Indiana wind up in next week's CFP poll after the Miami and Georgia losses today? I think that this is also going to be a situation where people are like, oh, well, Michigan's not that good. That's been what we've seen all year. Is it whether it was Michigan State, then it was, well, after Indiana beat them, Michigan State's nothing special. Nebraska the same way. This is going to be the challenge, and then they beat the hell out of Nebraska, and all of a sudden, oh well, Nebraska's not that good. You could only play the teams that are in front of you, and the Hoosiers have taken care of business every single time out, and so they're going to move up, but they were 8 before. I assume that they're going to move up, but now you just have to take care of business. And the fact that there's a bye coming up before they get ready for Ohio State is going to be helpful. But however the end of this season goes, whether it's 1-0 or rather 1-1 or 2-0, I can't imagine them dropping both of them because Purdue is not a good football team. But still, if they go 2-0 or 1-1, that gets you to the college football playoff, and I'm very excited to see how it falls out. 812-393-2600 is the number. I'm going to try to go to the phones again. Caller, if you could tell me your name, where you're from, and what you got. Your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, I'm calling back again because apparently people couldn't understand me. I was your first caller.
Yes, yeah.
Back in 1988, I was on the sidelines as part of the trilogy program for IU's 14-10 victory over the Wolverines. And it was absolutely awesome today to see a full, loud, packed house to beat Michigan again. I know it's been a while. Two observations. One, I think for fans who didn't recognize that this year is different, this team clearly was able to knock off Michigan, down some people that they would have liked to have had as part of the game. But football is full of injuries, and yet we still close that team out. Second thing, I think that the sky is the limit with Coach Cincinnati leaving this team, and I got to tell you, I never had any doubt that they were going to close this team out because I do believe this team, this coaching staff, and where we are right now as a program is so much different than where we used to be, and that's a godsend. So I'm curious about what your thoughts are with our chances, given where our lines are against Ohio State next 2 weeks from now. I think you got to get shot to give them a very strong run for their money. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I agree. It's a game that Indiana is going to be a challenge to say the least. But beating Ohio State always is a challenge. But being able to get the job done, I think, is going to be, you know, uh, it's tough because it's in the horseshoe. It is, certainly a game that Indiana's going to have to play a perfect game. But then again, Ohio State has also lost this year, and so they're on how to beat them. And them being able to come through and knock this team off, I think, is going to be a challenge. But Indiana's going to have to limit its turnovers, control the line of scrimmage, and be disruptive in the backfield from a defensive standpoint. Let's see what just is going to be able to play out. I'm really excited to see how the Hoosiers are going to do. 812-393-2600 is the number. I know that there's are having a little problems with the calls, but hopefully they'll be able to hear our next caller that we have. Caller, go ahead and give me your name, where you're from, and what you got. Oh, this is a new problem that we haven't had so far this year. We can't hear the callers, which isn't great for a call-in show, so not good. But I'm working on it. I'm working. This is all you can do. This is all you can do. I'm gonna go ahead and talk to one of the people who's sitting right with me. You give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
All right, this is Natasha, and I'm also from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And one comment I want to make, what I loved about today's game is that after we beat Michigan, not one fan stormed the field. I thought that was huge when it comes to our mindset, the way we expected to win this game, and the fact that it was business as usual. I thought that was amazing. I thought that's huge. That says volumes about the growth we've already seen in this program.
Yes, I completely agree. That's what I thought too. Is that, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and make sure that everybody acts like you expected to win, and that's exactly what the Hoosiers did. They did a great job, and I give the fans a lot of credit because
Yes.
I was worried about that too, about people coming onto the field. That wasn't the case. They celebrated, but they acted like they were the favorite.
Correct. And I actually was listening to some of the Michigan, Indiana previews from the Michigan's perspective, and a lot of the Michigan fans actually expected a lot of IU fans to storm the field after the game, and none of that happened. So I was super excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. 812-393-2600 is the number. Let me go ahead and try another caller here. Right here, or be able to 812 number. If you could go ahead and see if you can, I could hear you. Go ahead. This is killing me. We'll get it going, everybody. So let's go. JM says let's go 2 hours tonight. Well, we'll see, because we gotta try to see if we can get everybody to hear what exactly is happening. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna reset the calls and be sure to try to have everybody be able to hear the call. So I'm going to actually hang up the thing. If you're on the line right now, give me a call back, because I'm going to have to reset this thing. But this is the challenge when you're the host and the engineer, but that's okay. I'm willing to work with this. So hang in there. I'll be there in just a few minutes. And we'll go ahead and talk here. Just some of the chats just says, everyone's thrilled to be watching IU football. We have somebody that's joining us right here. So go ahead, if you give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Flagg, and I'm from Greenwood, Indiana. And what about those Hoosiers today, right?
Ton of fun, ton of fun watching them play, and it is just so exciting to be able to just see this team continue to grow and develop as time goes on, to say the least.
Yes, 10-0. Seriously, who would have thought?
It's history, and it's absolutely history, and that to me is something that just cannot be overlooked. Nobody's ever seen this before here at IU,
Absolutely.
and it is just a tremendously exciting for Indiana to be in this spot, and it's almost. It's almost unbelievable, because we never expected that this would be the case when the season started, and here we are.
Here we are. So exciting.
What was your thoughts on the crowd here today?
Oh, it was a sold out crowd. I mean, it was so vibrant and exciting. What a game.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. 812-393-2600. We're going to try another caller here to see if this is working. Caller, if you give me your name, your where you're from, and what you got.
And this is Tom from Palo Alto, California. How are you?
Hi, how you doing, Tom? Great to hear you.
I am. Hey, you too. I just really appreciate your work first and foremost, and I really enjoyed your book that you wrote about IU. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah. So regarding the Hoosiers, I mean, I'm just like a lot of the callers and fans. I'm just tickled pink as a lifelong Indiana football fan. There's been a lot of years where we wouldn't win a game like that today, ever. And I know it wasn't glamorous or whatnot, and Michigan kind of controlled that second half, but Indiana is 10-0, and Indiana won that football game. So I think there's a lot to celebrate here.
Well, not only that, but Indiana was the better football team today, too. And that's something that you don't always get. Michigan gave them everything that they could, but think about that defense. They give up one touchdown, and a 50-yard field goal is what you had. You had 3 field goals, and that the defense deserves a lot of credit, because the offense did not play its best game, but still the Hoosiers were able to pull out a win. And that's a huge credit to this Indiana defense.
You're absolutely right. The defense really stepped up, and I'm just thrilled that we have now 2 weeks to just enjoy this and, start finally turning the eyes towards that Ohio State game. And, that's another day. But for, the next several days, I'm just going to soak this in with Hoosier Nation. And again, thanks for all your help, and always enjoy listening. Thank you for taking my call. Hoosiers.
Thank you so much for the call. Really appreciate it. 812-393-2600 is the number. There's another visitor that's over here by the microphone. The best-looking woman at the complex, no question, is right here in front of me. But she will absolutely refuse to talk on microphone for sure. I've been married to her for 21 years, and so this is her first time coming over and saying, hi, how are you? Well, 812-393-2600 is the number. We have another caller on the line. Let's go ahead and bring you on in. Caller, if you give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey, this is Andrew Montgomery from Zionsville, Indiana. How you doing, Ken?
Good, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Hey, I'm here driving home with my boys in the car. We had a blast today, and I'll tell you what. First of all, it almost didn't happen because we got scammed on StubHub along with about 30 other people, and had to scramble and buy last minute tickets, and we're able to get in. And man, am I glad we did. That was incredible. Just an awesome environment. It was a game I didn't want to miss. And, we made it happen. And you know what? It was just one of these classic Big Ten gutty wins. Like they're not. I felt all week like people were just way too overconfident. Just listening to all the different podcasts. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to be a cakewalk, and that was just a gutty win. It was awesome to watch the defense win that game for us. And I am just over the moon being 10-0. So, yeah, I appreciate your work. I love everything you do. And just we're a couple, three pretty pumped IU fans driving home tonight.
Well, I appreciate the call, and you're exactly right. This is an Indiana team that has been a ton of fun to watch and have gotten the job done. Uh, and it's my wife. Yeah. Indiana's gotten the job done. The fact that uh, you look at the way Indiana has played all season; they've won so comfortably, and you knew it was going to be a challenge against Michigan. I felt that the fact that they were in the Michigan uniforms and everything that goes along with that, I felt that wasn't going to be a problem for Kurt Signetti and his team. That's just not something that Indiana has. They're not going to work when it comes to being able to be able to just uh, get rattled by a team like Michigan. That's what having 2 weeks to prepare for Ohio State is something that is interesting as well. We have somebody that he just said message retracted on the chat that the audio is too low. I think what is happening is this. I have this headset that can block out some of the background noise, and the wind is kicking up. And when the wind is kicked up, then I think it's lowering my mic level. That's something I'm working on. But you also may not have just heard the sirens that went by. So we're working on that. So I turned that up a little bit, and hopefully that will make a difference. 812-393-2600 is your number. I'm working on the audio, fellas. I have the gain way turned up, so hopefully it'll make a nice difference. Or I'll switch over to the louder microphone, which is going to hear a lot more background noise. But this is an IU football team. Let's look over some of the numbers that we have going on. By the way, the lines are open. 812-393-2600. Curtis Rourke finishes the game 17 of 28 for 206 yards. 2 touchdowns. He had a real bad interception early in the second half, but they overcame that. Really, this is Indiana's worst offensive game of the year. There's no question about that. Just 246 yards of total offense, 206 yards passing, 40 yards on the ground. Indiana ran the ball 28 times for 40 yards. Curtis Rourke got sacked a few times. That's something that we really haven't seen this year. Got sacked 4 times. Hoosiers didn't have a sack today. But they still, you that 40 yards rushing on 28 carries. Tyson Lawton had 12 carries for 55 yards, but Rourke's negative 28 is what really hurt that average. But Indiana moved the ball a little bit on the ground and did a great job of finishing runs. Keyshawn Williams continues to be a guy that is stepping up. He had 6 catches for 70 yards. You had Omar Cooper, 3 catches for 53 yards, and a tutty. Elijah Surratt, 1 catch for 36 yards. He had a key drop, or 2 actually. No, 1 key drop that ended up not costing him. To me, it's okay. You make these mistakes. It turns up your focus, and if you could do it while not actually paying a price for it, it makes a huge difference. Indiana, look at the comparison numbers for the quarters and the halves. In the third quarter, Indiana ran and 6 plays for 7 yards, didn't score, but the defense held Michigan to a total of total plays 19 plays. No, yeah, 19 plays for 66 yards, but it was only 6 points. And so that in and of itself is a huge deal. A huge deal. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got another caller. Caller, if you could go ahead and give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hi, my name is Ashton. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm actually a 2023 IU grad. And I attended the game today with my dad, who's a massive Peegs viewer, and he wanted me to tell you guys that he was there in 1987 when they beat Michigan. And it was just really special for me today to witness this with him and you know, be able to see a good year of ice ball when I feel like I haven't witnessed that many of those in my lifetime.
Well, that's fantastic. It is a situation where Indiana football. There is a history there, and there's a lot of times of people going to games with their parents, and they don't always have success or enjoy the outcome of the game, but they did have fun going to the game. To be able to enjoy things and cheer for a victory is absolutely huge. And now you've got a memory that that's gonna last a lifetime, and that you're gonna be able to pass on, going forward.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for taking my call. I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. 812.
Thanks. Have a great night.
Thanks. 812-393-2600 is the number. The Hoosiers 20-15 winners, stay atop, at least tied atop the Big Ten, or some people call it the Sig 10, as the Hoosiers moved to 10-0 on the season, just like everybody predicted. And this is just absolutely an incredible day, because Indiana has been waiting to beat Michigan for a very long time. They did it in 2020 when there was COVID was going on and everything like that. As we have a bunch of police motorcycles go by, and here comes the Michigan bus, and people are holding up L signs with their fingers to Michigan players as they leave. So that's kind of interesting. I guess you got to enjoy it while you can, but certainly the Hoosiers hope that they won't have to wait so long to beat Michigan again. Again, 2020 was great. It was a great win for the Hoosiers, but fans couldn't enjoy it because of COVID restrictions. And now here it is, the Hoosiers walk off with a 20-15 win. And we talk about this year, and there's plenty to talk about this year. But something that needs to be mentioned is the fact that if you're enjoying this season and everything that's going into it, let me tell you, 2025 has a ton of potential as well, because Indiana, if you look at the schedule that Indiana has for 2025, it is it's going to be interesting. Let me tell you, it is. Indiana will not have to play. The teams that they play next year are Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State, Illinois, Michigan State, UCLA, Wisconsin, Iowa, Maryland, and then Oregon. They close with Oregon, Penn State, and Purdue. So this is an Indiana team that doesn't have to play Ohio State next year, doesn't play Michigan next year. They close out the season with at Oregon and at Penn State. That's obviously a challenge. They have 3 straight. Well, that can't be right there. There's no way. Something's wrong here at this schedule that I'm looking at, because it has Indiana playing 5 straight road games in the Big Ten play, and I feel that that's really, really unlikely. Oh, it's the date to be. Oh, you idiot! It's in alphabetical order, coming back. Order, but the dates haven't been set. Regardless, those are your opponents for 2025. So if you're enjoying this year, everything is set up in a way that the Hoosiers might be able to enjoy things for another year with this, because it's going to be exciting. 812-393-2600 is the number. Lines are open. Douglas on the chat says, write today's date, the score, and 10-0 on a piece of paper and save it. You'll be glad you witnessed history. Something that I will admit that coming into the game, intern Charlie obviously is Charlie the intern is obviously a big supporter of Indiana football, and I stopped at a souvenir stand and got the pin for today, just because of the fact that it might have been a historic day, and I wanted to go ahead and pass that on to him. Um, they are going to he's going to appreciate that, I'm sure. I'm a little surprised he hasn't called with you, but it's a historic day, and history at Memorial Stadium is few and far between, and that's another box that Indiana could check off. Beating Michigan again, 2020, they beat Michigan here at Memorial Stadium, but the fans weren't here. It was a weird season, and so it's not quite the same as as just a regular win that everybody could enjoy. And I got to give the fans a ton, and I mean a ton of credit for what they did in getting to the game early. Here it was. Here, 30 minutes before game, the stands were packed, and everything was the energy was good. And energy was good the whole day. It was great to see all the towels waving. Just a hell of an atmosphere at Memorial Stadium. 812-393-2600 is the number. Peegs.com, Jeff Rabjohns had reported earlier today about how Indiana is actively negotiating to make sure Kurt Signetti stays at IU, and those negotiations are ongoing. I don't think there's a real huge threat of him moving. Indiana is going to move heaven and earth to be able to keep him here, and with the way things are going, I think that um, it's really really exciting. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about was the targeting call on Jameer Johnson late in the first half. I hate the targeting rule with a white hot passion because of the fact that it is a poorly designed rule. The punishment is too big. An ejection for a guy hitting a receiver when he's almost standing still. I think it is a rule that is absolute garbage. Plain and simple, it is a bullshit rule, and it is an ejection is way too harsh of a penalty. There should be like a flagrant foul in basketball where it's a flagrant one or flagrant two. That should be where it lines up. And Indiana has lost multiple players this year for targeting rules that are certainly not designed for the spirit of the law of how it's written. And there have been times when Indiana has paid a price for teams not getting called for that targeting. And I think that it is just a terrible job by the NCAA in being stubborn about not changing the rule, especially because the rule, to me, isn't about safety. It is about the NCAA being able to say, hey, you know what? We have a rule in place. So if somebody comes back with a head injury and tries to sue the NCAA, they can go ahead and say, hey, this is we have these rules in place. We've done what we can. It's a CYA rule that is arbitrarily called. It's just not in the best interest of college football. The safety element, I completely agree with, but there has to be a level of punishment. It can't be one size fits all when it comes to this kind of call. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got a caller online. Caller, if you can have your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Ben, this is Ryan from Bloomington. I mean, this is single-handedly, it's not even close, the best IU football game I've ever witnessed. You know, I've, not as much as some people. I've been going to games for 6 or 7 years now, and it's not like this. There's been lots of games that are up in the air, and it never goes our way. And it's special when you can be 10-0 because as much as there's a great possibility that we can continue this success far down college football playoff next season. It's no guarantee, but I just think as a fan, I'm just gonna try to enjoy this as much tonight as I can because this is special, man, and this is a game that's gonna go down in history as one of the best for IU, and we're gonna remember this one for a while. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate the call, Ryan, and I know that you are you haven't been an IU football fan for as long as a lot of other people because I know that you're only 13 years old. But the fact, just know that you've seen something that nobody else in history has with Indiana football. Just like all IU fans right now, Indiana fans have never seen a 10-win season, a 10-win season in the 125 plus years of Indiana football. You are here to see it. You are here to enjoy it, and I'm just really happy for all IU fans to be able to see this. So thanks so much for calling in, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken.
812-393-2600 is the number. Uh, Base Nerd, possibly Bass Nerd, says, I think any year with Sig at the wheel will be fun. And he's given you every reason to believe that that is going to be the case because it's just an incredible fun time, to say the least, about just how the Hoosiers have been able to be successful. And they haven't let you down yet, and that is not something that you could say. And look, we're playing with house money. There's no question about that. This is an Indiana team that came into the season low expectations. Took a while for fans to show up, but they're here now, baby. And Ohio State is going to be a challenge in a couple of weeks, but you got to appreciate the fact that they do have a couple of extra weeks to get ready for the Buckeyes because it's going to be a big one. 812-393-2600. We have a call right here. Caller, if you give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hello? This is Justin.
Yes, go ahead, Justin.
This is Justin. I want to take you down memory lane for a minute, Tim. Back to a game in 2007 at Buckingame. Do you remember what you brought to the Peegs program?
Maybe my memory is pretty fuzzy. For 17 years, I blame all the bourbon really, and the fact that I have children that'll really mess up your head. But go ahead.
Yeah, you brought up a couple bottles of champagne because
Yes,
you were going to win that game and finally go bowling.
absolutely. That was actually the first year that I did that, and now I do that every single year for a last game of the season. I bring somebody a bottle of something.
Well, I will go with you on Peegs because it's my turn to return the favor to you because win or lose in 2 weeks, we are playing for the college football championship on the Collegiate Bucky game. We win that game, we're going no matter what. So I will go with you on Peegs because I'm going to return that favor to you in 3 weeks.
I'll tell you what, I would really appreciated that. And then after they take home the old Oaken bucket, you could come and meet me at the Gate 4 sign and we could share it on the air. I'd be happy to do that.
Gate 4 sign, I will see you there.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the call. Really appreciate it.
All right, thanks again.
Thanks. 812-393-2600 is the number. We have another caller. Caller, if you could tell me where you're from, your name, and what you got.
This is Charlie from Ellisville, and I would just like to say, how were you feeling in the late third quarter or early fourth quarter when IU was only leading by 2 points? What was the intensity in the press box?
Well, thank you, Charlie from Ellettsville. The intensity in the press box, it doesn't really get too intense in the press box because it is, nobody's allowed to cheer. But I know that there were plenty of nerves in the building, and you could feel that for sure. There were a ton of nerves in the building. And the fact that the Hoosiers were able to come up and make some stops, especially you had the touchdown that Michigan scored in the fourth quarter, and they go for two to try to tie the game, and they were able to get the stop, and that was absolutely huge.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. I really appreciate it. That was Charlie the intern, folks. That comes on. I always appreciate any call. Everybody could call me. I'm happy to do that. 812-393-2600 is the number. We got another call here where we go ahead. If you give me your name, where you're from, and what you got.
Hey Ken, Dan here from Ellisville. How you doing?
Good, Daniel. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm great actually. I'm right now in traffic trying to get out of the game, but really gutsy win by IU. Really toughed it out. I know a lot of people. You just mentioned all the nerves in the building. Um, Definitely, I know a lot of people around me were sharing the same glances of God, oh God, please don't let this feel like years past where they, drop the ball and find a way to lose. But man, like they really hung in there and really just got it out. It was tough, tough win, and I'm so happy to see that.
Well, and one thing that their pass rush did, Michigan's trying to come back, and Indiana did a great job of stopping up the run. And then they had the Warren kid on the run all night. And that to me is something that just made him uncomfortable, and he wasn't able to sit back. At times, we've seen Indiana run into problems to where in past years, not this year, but in past years, see opposing quarterbacks kind of get comfortable and be able to pick Indiana, off as they went down the field. That wasn't the case today, and it was Michigan even got called for a hold today, which is rare in and of itself because they got called for one and they held a hell of a lot more than that. But what was your thoughts on just uh, I guess the relief and the elation in the stands when Indiana got into victory formation and you knew and the Hoosiers were going to win the ball game?
I mean, honestly, a lot of people, at least in my area, can feel like it disbelief that it actually happened. It was like I said, it was not unexpected, but definitely I've seen IU find ways to lose, and this time they didn't. Like you were saying, the pressure on their quarterback was fairly minimal until that last drive, I would say. And not to mention their D line was like having very Morris run for his life the entire second half. Like that was some of the that I'm happy that it's taken this long, but sad to say that was like some of the worst line play I've seen this year. But they're that's one of the best D lines that in the country. I think three of those guys will probably get in the NFL. This year next. I think. Um, but yeah, everybody was just so happy, was so excited, and I felt like in the fourth quarter, the start of it, the crowd was a little bit more subdued. And I do recall Signetti trying to wave up, and get the crowd more into it. It really took that punt return that,
Yeah.
I took off like, I don't know, 3 or 4 attackers and got us like probably 30 yards to really get the crowd back into the stands, which was great to see.
Yeah, and it's just nerves, and it is scar tissue from the previous years of the struggles that the Hoosiers have had, and those struggles. It's fun to see the Hoosiers start to take care of business in a way that they haven't always done. So it is it's just a ton of fun. I really appreciate the call. Be safe driving home. Thanks a lot.
Last one thing real quick.
Absolutely, go ahead.
So Mark Johnson, I believe, got called targeting, and it seemed like that call came from upstairs, maybe, but it happened pretty quick. I feel like just the drive here when I use that on offense, like the hit that knocked Miles strikes out should have been called targeting, and the hit that happened to that, I forget who it was. Williams was on the sideline. I definitely thought that launched into him though. So I just want to know your thoughts on like maybe some of the ghosts of years past where Michigan managed to get all these magical calls all at once, and we're fighting for our lives. I'll hang up and listen. But thank you personally.
Well, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. And yeah, that targeting call, the one on Johnson, I just it bothers me. The good thing is it didn't ended up costing Indiana the game, and now he's served his half of being out of action, so he'll be back full go against Ohio State. But it really is a thing to where having this targeting call be so arbitrarily called, and yes, it wasn't called live on the field. It was called after review. I don't like that either. You could, to me, you should have to, you could have it picked up, but you shouldn't be able to go back and review it because if you don't think it's a penalty live, don't parse this thing out. Because what is this about? Is it about safety or what? I hate the rule, and I'm waiting for the NCAA to admit it needs to make some changes. I think I'm probably going to be waiting a while for that. But the Hoosiers certainly are exciting to watch, and at least they got away with the Jameer Johnson thing without it costing them too much. Last call for phone calls because I'm starting to feel some raindrops. 812-393-2600 is the number, and raindrops and this electronic equipment that I have doesn't go together very well. Douglas just said, just because it's funny, one of the commenters on CBS called the other school Purdue when discussing the OSU Purdue game, and I think we'll all agree with that being the case. I think that we're very fine with that. This is an IU team that moves to 10-0, gets a bye at exactly the right time, and look, we're playing with house money, kids, and even if they split the next two games, because I don't see a scenario in which they lose to Purdue. I just don't. But if they are able to keep it up, 11-1, I feel gets them in the college football playoff. 12-0, obviously, they're definitely going to do it. But in Sig they trust. That's to say the least, because this is a Hoosier team that just was everything he has told them from day one has come true. So the belief has no choice but to be there. Throw in any last questions you might have on the chat. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up. Again, feeling some raindrops. Enjoy the victory because this is as good as it gets. Next year, we'll have the expectations of this year. This year, it's all about the next game, and they've checked off the box of beating Michigan in front of a crowd. Next is going to be checking off the box of beating Ohio State, which they haven't done since 1988, I believe. And it is it's not something they do very often, but they're going to give them absolutely everything they got. Douglas says hashtag believe, and hey, you know what? The players definitely believe, and they had some guys get banged up. It was a tough, hard-fought game, a great experience, and now they have 2 weeks to get ready for Ohio State. This bye is coming at exactly the right time, and you got to be happy for the Hoosiers. 10-0, history, folks, and excited. Now, a show note, not going to have a Peegs postgame live after tomorrow's basketball game, but we will have one after the South Carolina game, November 16th, and that's what is going on next Saturday instead of this. So call in with your questions about IU basketball because I'd love to talk to you about that as well. Same number, 812-393-2600. We'll talk some basketball and just enjoy your Saturday night and enjoy this win over Michigan. 20-15 is the final score. Indiana moves to 10-0. They will move up in the rankings, possibly into the top 5, and we'll see where they go with the college football playoff. 2024 is exciting, to say the least. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs postgame live. I'd like to thank you for listening. I want to remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community at Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time. But for now, and for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.